welcome to this video. In the last couple of days I've got a couple of requests or questions regarding the upcoming World Championship match, whether I'm going to do any coverage. Of course I will do coverage. I've been not too busy with covering top level chess the last couple of weeks and months because I had some other things on my plate, but now I think I'm going to do the World Championship match, of course, because this is just the highlight of the year per definition. And I also decided to do some pre-match coverage or some pre-match videos. Actually on YouTube there have been a couple of those videos already, and my original idea to present the games between Carlsen and Anand that they've played in regular tournaments before the match already has been picked up by Daniel King, Grandmaster Danny King, on YouTube. So I decided not to do that and just copy his approach. I mean, I had the idea independently, but he just started earlier. So if you're interested to see the games between the two players that have been played in recent years, just go to Danny King's channel. So what I'm going to do is I'll just present to you in the next 3 weeks, because the match will start in 3 weeks. I'm going to present you a daily video, really daily, one video per day. This will be about 20 videos. Be exactly 20 videos, showing 10 games of each player, so 10 games of world champion Vichy Anand and 10 games by Magnus Carlsen, showing their chess and their career, showing spectacular games, interesting games. And the idea is not so much to do a super detailed analysis, but to enjoy the games and sort of whet your appetite for the upcoming match that will start on November 9th in India. The opening ceremony I think is on the 7th, but the first game is on the 9th of November. Alright, let's start with the first game, and I'll start with the world champion, Vichy Anand. This game was played in 1997, so already about 16 years ago. And you can also see by this game, by the date the game was played, the age difference between the two players. At this time, when the game was played, Magnus was just 6 years old and maybe not thinking about chess, I'm not quite sure. Anand played with white against Anand-Lautier from France. If you only follow chess for the last couple of years, you might not know this player at all, because he's a retired grandmaster from France. Back in those days, he was a top 10, top 20 player, and always very dangerous. He had, for instance, I'm not quite sure if he maintained a positive score against Kasparov, but he beat him couple of times, so quite a dangerous opponent. So let's see what happened in this game. Anand playing e4, always been his principal weapon, 1e4, but for the World Championship matches he quite often played d4 against Kramnik and Topalov, and it's an open question what he will do in the upcoming match against Magnus. Alright, so we have a center counter or Scandinavian defense, which never was a permanent part of Lautier's opening repertoire. Usually played 1e5 or the Sicilian, but okay, the center counter or Scandinavian always has been a decent surprise weapon, and he played with queen d5, knight c3 attacking the queen, queen a5, and all this is very normal developing pieces. Lautier plays c6. This controls the d5 square and makes sure that the queen has some possible retreat. For instance, if white plays at some point bishop d2, the queen might need some place to go. Anand playing bishop c4, developing the bishop, and bishop to f5. This is the main line of this opening with queen d5 and queen a5. And here white has a principal choice. He can play mostly two approaches. Anand plays knight e5. The other possible approach, or let's say other mainline approach, there are certainly other moves. Bishop d2 is the other move, intending to play knight d5 at a later stage, attacking the queen, and therefore also trying to address one problem of white's setup. One slight problem is that the knight on c3 is misplaced. It gained this tempo on the queen, but right now white would very much prefer to have the knight on some other square, maybe here, or exchange it via d5 or f6, in order to play also pawn to c3. You'd like to have this pawn chain to support the center. Okay, this is the other main idea, but Anand played knight e5, and this is very direct, attacking f7, so black only has e6. And now g4. This was the idea behind knight e5, quickly starting an attack on the king side. So this is obviously a very aggressive approach. h5 is the immediate threat, attacking this bishop, and it doesn't have a very comfortable square to go. So black already needs to be careful. One idea here is bishop b4, pinning, also securing in a way the square e4. And this doesn't seem to be too great. Bishop d2, knight e4. This looks quite logical at first, but white has a very strong move here, and this is the move f3. It's quite interesting. The main point is that if black captures here, that at the end there's this h5 move, and this bishop is trapped. It doesn't have anywhere to go, so white just wins this bishop. Yeah, maybe for a pawn, but this is the only slight solace that black is going to get here. Bishop b4 doesn't seem to be too great. What Lautier played is meta. He just played knight d7. The idea is to attack this knight. White basically has no choice, needs to take. And now h5. Logical. This was the whole idea. Bishop e4, the only square. Still utilizing the spin. And now, oops, and now rook to h3. This is a very important point of this early advance, that this rook can be used on the third rank. This is much better than, for example, f3. After bishop d5, this bishop is not badly placed, and in case of an exchange, it's not so clear what this really has accomplished. It gains some space, but it's not very harmonious. Rook h3 is just more aggressive, and it also covers c3 from the third rank. So very useful spot for the rook. Bishop g2. Yeah, maybe this isn't such a great move. It seems to be playable, but it's probably not the best. The idea is that the normal response, rook g3 attacking this piece, is answered by bishop d5, which is the alternative to bishop g2. If we return, this is the normal move that is played. Black is trying to get the rook to g3 so that a later bishop b6 would attack it. But the problem with all this is, with this move, that white can play rook e3 instead of rook g3. And this was found by Anand over the board. He actually had looked at this for his World Championship match against Kasparov, when he looked at this opening for black as a surprise weapon. And back then he only had looked at rook g3, but at the board he found that rook e3 is an interesting idea, and he went for that. This is an important quality, that you are able to to really trust your instincts over the board and not only follow preparation blindly. Okay, we're talking about a 1997 game. where of course they already had computers and so on, but it's not comparable to nowadays. Still, it's a good quality to trust your over-the-board ideas. Okay, this places the rook against the king. This is one point, and the other point is, well, the bishop on g2 is of course a problematic piece. If you think about this, f3 could trap this piece, and in the game we see that this is indeed a point. Black now played knight to b6, which seems okay. Attacks this this bishop, and the bishop retreated to d3. This is in fact the thing that Anand needed to calculate precisely when he played rook e3, because of this move. This is what Lautier played, and it's just the the principal choice. It attacks the rook, it attacks the knight. So at first you think, wait, isn't black great here? He's threatening to win the exchange, you're threatening to take on c3, or maybe intensify the pressure along this diagonal. But white has a very, very strong reply, and this is what Anand had calculated. f3, this is a very strong move. The idea is, as already mentioned before, to trap this bishop. And the fun thing is that the piece going on the hunt is the king. King f2, king g2. This is the idea, trapping this. And of course now it gets rather tactical. Black needs to calculate precisely and check how to get enough play in this complications when the bishop is going to be trapped if you're doing nothing. So what should black do? Of course you have to check the captures. The first move to check would be knight takes e3, grabbing the exchange, and white simply recaptures. And we see that these bishops have very good central squares, and there is this threat. What should black do? If you play a nothing move, like let's just say bishop b6, I'm going to play king f2 and then queen to h1, and this bishop is trapped. If he wouldn't have taken this square with the bishop, even king g3 and takes would have been an option. And this is the idea. This bishop is is a big problem. So what is black supposed to do here? There's one move you shouldn't miss in your calculations. Maybe you spotted it. This is by far the most dangerous move, and this is bishop to a3. Very important motif, combining this pin with this pawn, attacking the pawn. This is very important and shouldn't be missed by white. Anand had foreseen this. I mean, this wasn't played, but it's a line that you need to check. Here white has a very good reply, something you might overlook. Bishop c1, this is the best move, just covering this. If you would take, then the problem is queen takes c3, and is it the problem? No, in fact not. This is even better. I just saw that. This is even better. So white cannot take because this wins far too much. So queen d2, and then black can play any move basically, and it's at least murky. Look at this. The king doesn't have a good place, and black has a rook against two pieces. This isn't too clear. But bishop c1 is just stronger. Bishop a3, bishop a3, bishop c1, and then again this idea, and black can only try to get some murky play like this.
Check.
And here black is not lost, but those bishops on a wide open board are very, very dangerous. I guess white is better. It's not so easy to say how much, but white is better. So knight takes e3 wasn't so great. What about this one? This is also a possibility. And it seems that this way
Check.
to play. Would have been interesting. Let's say like this. Yeah, need to take with the king because this was hanging. And then let's say long castles. Similar to the position before, but it's slightly less coordinated. I still like white here. The bishops are just very strong and will be even better soon. But it's not entirely clear. This is probably what black should have done. We turn to the game. Here, what did Lautier play? Not an illogical move. He played bishop to b4, but this seems to lead to big trouble. King f2, just ignoring all this and attacking. Okay, black grabbed here and took on c3. And what now? This rook is hanging and this rook is hanging. So it's all rather complicated, but Anand has a good move. Just rook b1. The thing is, if black just takes, let's say he takes, we still have this problem. He will pick up this bishop, and let's say this form of material balance is very, very bad for black because I keep this pawn, and those are very nicely placed. Yeah, Lautier played queen d4, which is the best move under the circumstances. And here Anand just took on b7. There's no rush to take it. In fact, taking,
check,
of course, is a mistake. But you can just take here. And now in this position, it's a question: what should black do here? Lautier played the move rook to d8, which covers the queen indirectly. So there's also the idea to play rook d7 at some point. And let me check my notes here. What are the alternatives instead of rook d8? He could have tried bishop to h3, which is maybe no, it is the better move, but still just quite problematic because there's rook takes f7. This is a funny idea, exploiting this discovered check, and this in fact is also bad for black. Black can try various defenses, for example knight to f4. I can just take it. So rook f7. What is the relatively best try? Black can try to take, move the queen, but something like this is just too much. So white has a strong attack. But let's look at Lautier's move rook d8. Here Anand took a bit of time and then calculated this to the end, really to the end. What now follows is a very, very nice and spectacular sequence of moves. And the great thing is to combine all ideas that you might have, and this just works like magic here. So Anand's move is the move h6. White threatens to take, amongst others. So Lautier took it. The alternatives are also not particularly great. Let's say, what should black do? You can take on e3. Maybe this is a bit tougher, but we would have been deprived of a very nice finish here. Something like this is just excellent for white. This bishop is still the problem. Just have a look. And it is trapped again. It's also very important that both those bishops are both nicely protected. It's all working like yeah, very harmonious setup for white. So let's return. Lautier took it, and yeah, now it it gets very nice. Anand's next move is the spectacular, really spectacular move. If you don't know the game and like to calculate a bit for yourself, then you can also pause this video now, and try to work it out for yourself. It's a nice tactical puzzle. So I'm going to wait some seconds and then continue. So Anand's move now was bishop g6. Yeah, this is just very nice. What are the lines? Let's have a look. The easiest line is queen takes d1, just grabbing the queen.
Check.
Rook e6, king f8, bishop
Check.
h6. This is why h6 needed to be played. King g8, bishop
Checkmate.
f7, and it's a very cute checkmate. You don't even need the rook here. It's just the two bishops and the rook doing a great job, and we still have this bizarre bishop on g2. So a very nice mate. You cannot take the queen, so what else is there? Yeah, black also has this threat yeah, to fight. Let's say something like this.
Check.
Is answered. Just with this simple sequence, and there's this threat with mate. So black is completely helpless here. This rook is hanging, and you have absolutely no time to save it. So black has no move to avoid complete disaster. He needs to play something like rook g8 to not get immediately mated. So just very nice. Lautier played the relatively best defense. He played played knight to e7, just covering f7 for the moment. And here Anand took the simple route, very strong. Just exchanged the queen. And okay, what now? Still, you have this bishop to play against, but all kinds of things are hanging. He played the move rook d3, which is perfectly alright. There also was the more spectacular move rook e6, but it wasn't strictly necessary to play like this. After rook d7, black is not immediately mated and hangs on a bit. What he played, I think, is even more elegant. Rook d3, and yeah, what is black supposed to do? This rook is attacked basically, and you cannot move it somewhere, let's say here, because of rook b8. So you need to exchange. Bishop takes, and now what is black supposed to do? This is hanging. Bishop moves, and now it's just
check.
Rook b8 and picking up the rook. Another idea is if black plays this, for instance, you also can oops, I made a mistake. Of course, the rook d8 was played. Rook d8 was played.
Check.
Getting to this position, this is quite similar, but now after rook b8, there's still knight c8. What I was going to show is if black is playing a move like bishop h1, there is this idea: bishop b2, rook moves, and bishop f6. And yeah, if you like, you can look at this position a bit and try to identify what black's next moves are. He's completely tied up. This is deadly pin. And also this bishop is also trapped. So it's a tragic comic picture here. It's a very very weird setup for black. He will lose all his pieces basically. So very nice attacking game by Anand. The combination of moves with h6, capture, and bishop g6, I think is exceptionally beautiful. You need to spot this idea that you need to take on h6 with the bishop, which is especially difficult considering the fact that the rook on e3 is at the moment blocking this bishop. So it's not easy to find. And yeah, one of the nicest attacking efforts that Anand has played in his career. He also thinks this is one of his nicest games. All right, I hope you enjoyed this first part of this appetizing series for the World Championship match. I'll be back, daily from now on for games of Anand and Carlsen. Yeah, check back daily. Bye.